All right. You're on, Jim.
Okay, well, welcome everybody to another virtual edition of the QASIG. I think everybody is probably fairly proficient with Zoom these days, but I wanted to just give you a quick idea of what to expect. My name is Jim Frazier. I'm with Cordet, and I'll just be doing a little of the housekeeping tonight. So when we get started, all of your mics will be on mute. And at the end of the evening, if you have questions, please type them in wherever you'd like to type them in, whether it's chat or the Q&A section, and I will relay those and we will answer your questions for you tonight. So with that said, I'm going to hand it over to our founder, Joe Dillon, for introductions.
Well, thank you, Jim, and thanks for everybody for joining. It's kind of interesting that since we've been doing this on Zoom, our attendance is almost tripled. So if you enjoy it, tell your friends, because it's really kind of a cool community, and hopefully it'll become more that way and you can make contacts from all over the place instead of just Seattle. Once we have the ability to open up the lab and people are comfortable with coming by, we'll go back to having, in-person meetings where you can network, and we'll do pizza and beer and soft drinks and stuff. But we're going to continue with the Zoom because I want it to be more inclusive. So we'll go to the talk, and then afterwards, I don't know if everybody who goes to, or is aware of the QASIG is also familiar with the fact that we have a PM SIG on alternating months, same schedule, second Wednesday. And that's a very popular event. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, sign in. So I will introduce tonight's wonderful speaker. Her name is Dilruba Malik, and the title of her talk is Agile Remote Leadership and Quality Assurance, which I think is a really intriguing title, because the whole idea of Agile is basically you're sitting right next to your guys, right? You got a little group, but how do you handle that remotely? And that's exciting, and I want to hear about it. So over to you, Dilruba. Have a great night. I'm going to log off the screen, but I'll be listening.
Hello, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. Thank you for joining and this late evening session, as well as thank you for QASIG and Shelley to arrange this session. Again, as Joe was mentioning, my today's topic is Agile Remote Leadership and Quality Assurance. I will kind of give my background so that you know where I came from. So I'm actually doing QA engineering for last 15 plus years. Currently, I'm leading a QA organization at Palo Alto network. Last 5 years, I'm doing IoT application, and current role, we are doing IoT security, application security. And to give a little bit more background, my bachelor is from Georgia Tech in electrical engineering, and I have done my master's in engineering management and leadership from Santa Clara University. Okay, so let's get into our topic tonight. I just wanted to bring the same definition as Joe was mentioning, right? So what is Agile leadership? The whole idea of Agile leadership is we are collocated together. Teams are team members are close together. So they are inclusive, they are democratic leader, but we want everything to be pretty much close together. People can interact and collaborate together so that they can communicate and they empower and inspire everyone so that we can deliver more efficiently. So, and also the main theme for Agile is to accept change, and any aim we have to change our organization, that can go more smoothly because we are more open to change. On the other hand, we have remote leadership, right? And this become a new normal for us, at least for last 1 year, most of us are working from home. So this is truly the opposite. We are not together in same office. So it become a little bit of hiccup from the beginning, but now we are already used to it. Team are working more collaboratively and efficiently. They are basically experience the pretty much similar way how we do in Agile. We still are goal oriented. We are still collaborating with the team. So yeah, this is just the new normal for us. And when we combine together, right? So if we have Agile team who used to be co-located together, now everybody is in Agile mode. In remote mode. And during this pandemic, it teaches us so many different ways of communicating with each other, right? And that actually we never even thought of, right? Most of the time, QA is the glue between all other individual team, back-end, front-end, analytics, data science. So working together in Agile is much more different scenario before. We never thought that we can live, remote for that long. But during this pandemic, it became normal. Now we accept that scenario that we can actually collaborate together and become more efficient together while we are working remote. So this actually created a little bit challenging situation for QA, not QA in all different segment, but QA particularly, because QA, we communicate and collaborate with each, as I was mentioning, back and front end analytics, as well as for data science. So each developer, they can work in silo for their particular portion of it, and then they kind of integrate with each other. But for QA, we have to work on everybody's code, modular testing and integration testing, and then all together we do end-to-end testing. So basically, we are never in silo, whether it is waterfall mode or while we are in Agile world. Everywhere we are basically back and forth, collaborating together, coordinating with each other. So when remote situation came in, we see we have a lot more complexity. But again, since we are in QA, we know what we need to do. We are doing testing, definitely. We are doing verifying, exploring, and automating. That's our mantra for surviving and collaborating with each other. So I wanted to bring this concept of 3-step, that how we can be more efficient while we are in a remote scenario. And we don't know how long we'll be in that situation, right? So we have to come up with an action plan that how we can be more successful communicating. So I believe this 3 bullet point is basically exploring that. We need clarity, we need to have constant communication, and we need to create connection between each other. We need to trust each other during in the team. So clarity, what I mean by clarity is basically providing a holistic view of everybody. It's not just only for QA team, it's for all team. We need a clear vision that what team is trying to achieve. And for that particular reason, we need our ground rule, right? Currently, we are working remotely. So what happened is we are always connected. We are always communicating. But if we don't set the ground rule, it becomes more messy. For example, if one person like to work at 6 a.m. in the morning, and another person don't like to wake up that early, they want to work late night, right? So we have to set that ground rule for the team so that the communication and clarity is there. And then establish a milestone so that each mission we can divide into certain milestone that, okay, if I'm testing for this particular application, what are the tests needed and how I can create the milestone so deliverable is scheduled for that particular milestone. Building a culture of transparency. Basically, we want to see something is not working. We are not afraid of telling ourselves. So as a leader, we have to provide this facilitating this culture to our team, so that team members are not afraid. They can tell anything is in their mind. If something is bothering them, they can communicate with the leader without any hesitance, and then deliver the value what really matters. Like, we need to know what is the company's goal, what is our team goal, what we want to achieve, and as a QA, how can we make sure that value is really matters when we deliver that. And communication is another very, very important part of the equation, right? So we have to be a very good listener to understand what each team member is going through, what they are trying to say, where is a issue, what we are testing, how they are strategizing, what kind of testing they are trying to do. And we have to be very careful when we are listening, because now it's not, if we have confusion, we cannot just walk through the next cabin and talk to that person. So when we are in Zoom call, we have to be pretty attentive and understand what the person or the team member are trying to say. Communicate trust and respect. We cannot just ask every 5 minutes, hey, are you done? Are you done? Or what are you doing? How you are doing it? So you have to trust your team member, and you have to respect that this is a different scenario, and that person is going to deliver if they commit for a certain time. So trust between the team member and the leader have to be there. So if a team member commit for a time, a leader have to also trust that and respect that by this time it will happen. And that actually come with the experience as well. It's not just one day it will build up. And prior to COVID arena, we were working as a team, so we know each other, how that is. But in case if we are building a new team, the same rule apply. And then inspire team members, right? By giving them the total holistic view that what is our goal, how we add value, and how we can make it more innovative, so that we do testing smart way instead of constantly testing the every nitty-gritty detail. Instead of that, we have to come up with a smart strategy that if backend change happen, then we will do this set of regression or this set of sanity testing we are doing. And if it is front-end change, how it will happen. And if it is both changing, how we are doing the integration test and everything. So all these have to be communicated. And prior hand, we have to give the holistic view, so the team members are engaged and they can be part of that. Unblocking them from any obstacle is another thing. If team member is seeing there is something is not working, as a leader, we have to work proactively and figure out that we have to unblock them as soon as possible, so that our timeline is managed and our expectation is managed. And also, if we have a junior engineer in our team, we have to coach and guide them. It doesn't apply only for junior engineer, it can be even senior engineer also. What we need to accomplish, based on that, you have to coach and guide your team members. And last step, not the least one, is connection. We have to connect with each other. We are human. Even though we are working remotely, we have to make our personal connection. That matters, right? One person is sad or going through some personal issues, we need to know as a leader. So doing a personal connection, doing one-on-one, regular one-on-one, and making sure that it's working for that particular person. It's not always about how this sprint is going, or how their workload, are they accomplishing their work or not. It's not always about the work progress. It's about how that person is feeling, how they are adjusting with the new normal, how what are they going through. Basically understand the team member career growth also. So COVID happened, that doesn't mean our career growth stopped. So we have to understand that also. We have to understand long-term and short-term career motivation. And we have to make sure that team are actually happy while they are doing testing, while they are going through the timeline and everything. We have to provide enough support so that team is understanding that everybody is going through the same, but still as a team, we are accomplishing our goal. And yeah, so that brings me to the actually how the tracking QA activity and what we do day to day, right? So before, maybe it was not that important to track everything, but now since we are not close to each other, it become more important that we create effective KPIs for our QA deliverables, right? For example, if I'm doing ad hoc testing, what number will be important for that particular testing? That we have to come up as a team. So every team is different. Every application is different. So every application, you have different sort of testing. And KPI for team A is not same for KPI for team B. So same as industrial IoT or IoT, it's not similar KPI. So we have to identify those KPIs. We have to clearly communicate the testing scope, what we are going to do for our test bed setup, what licenses we need in case we need third-party integration, what are type of equipment we might need for upcoming testing. So we have to think about the QA resource, we have to think about the resource test bed wise, and then we have to think about the budget for the resource test bed as well as for the licensing and all that. And we have to define what is our scope for sanity and regression. So new feature is coming, we are doing new testing, but again, we always have to have our sanity and regression suite so that we cover overall product quality. And automation is one thing that have to be there for being a efficient team. So the from my perspective, I always saw that a team does really well if we have this best practices set up. So establishing a efficient process, what I mean by that is basically in Agile, we have a set of expectation, right? We will have a sprint and we will work for a particular feature list. For example, from A to Z, I will have the feature list, right? But that's not the only work we have to do. That's not the only test we have to do, right? New feature we have to test. And then we have to figure out if there is any bug fixes or not, if there is any end-to-end regression required or not. So in order to identify those, we need to have a established process, right? We have to make sure we are putting the story point for each particular story. We also add QA's time estimate for that particular story. So it's not only the developer story point we are looking at and QA just testing it. It's part of the process that we are looking at developer story point and see that, okay, how much time it will take for the QA to actually test that feature. Not only that particular modular testing, also integration testing, and also how the performance wise it will work. And then if there is any end-to-end regression needed or anything like that, we have to understand that process also. So we need to have relationship between the story and the bug filed, and also we have to have relationship with field issues or customer issues, right? So those things have to be connected with a particular component or the particular story, so that this falls under the process that we track each of those particular items to be more efficient. We have to have a robust testing environment. What I mean is, it's not just the pre-production environment that where everybody is testing. I always suggest in any QA team that we need to have a robust testing environment. It have to be a developer environment where developers are doing development work. And then we have to have a QA environment where after development is done, they are pushed all the code to staging environment, and that testing data set have to be basically very close to production. I know that production data cannot be in staging, but then we have to simulate the data so that we recreate those production-like environment. So we have to spend some time to understand how we can build this testing environment, so that we have development environment, we have the testing staging environment where QA does the testing, and then after QA approves, then it push to the production, basically. And then we have to identify the release acceptance and acceptance criteria, right? So developer did their development, and is it actually match with the PM's expectation? So that will come from the acceptance criteria from PM requirement team. But then how we are evaluating that from QA side, it is acceptable or not, right? So we have to check the PM acceptance criteria as well as our QA acceptance criteria, that in no P1, P2 have to be in that particular feature. Any P1, P2 ticket, we will not release that. So we have to say those kind of process upfront, so that the expectation is, oh, we don't have time to fix P1 and P2. How about we just add this? We have to make sure we have this SLA from the beginning, so that nobody is having hard feeling for QA that we rejected this because our acceptance criteria didn't meet. And then bug prioritization is another important thing. We have to identify what we mean by bug prioritization. What is P1, what is P2 from the beginning of the team ground rule. We have to identify that, and we have to put that as a bug priority, so that everybody knows when they are filing a ticket, they understand what P1 means, right? What P2 means. And then definitely we have to have a process for testing the feature, functional testing. We have to have a process for security testing as well as the performance testing. And while we are in that sprint, we have to put some time aside to do the automation. And if we are not doing automation, if we just think that, okay, let's just pass through this sprint and we'll come back to the automation, it never happens. So we have to do automation, and automation every sprint. Whether we can make 100% of it, maybe not, because depend on your team, right? If it is 1 week sprint, 2 week sprint, how that is, based on that, we have to carve out some time so that we do the automation. So what new challenge we get from the remote QA team, right? As I was mentioning, less face-to-face interaction. So we have to basically push ourselves to turn on our video, to at least show our face, so that we can communicate. Maybe it's not personal interaction when we see in person, but at least we can see each other face. So that will also give a little bit of less challenge. And then another thing I noticed, that if there are a new team member coming, they find it difficult to figure out where is all the knowledge sharing documentation is, knowledge transfer documentation is. So try to have your organization a little bit organized with the knowledge transfer documentation. Create a section in Confluence, maybe that will help to make sure that when we are onboarding somebody new, that doesn't have to go through this challenge. And we have also another problem is too many Zoom meeting. From the morning to evening, we see so many meeting invite. You have to be smart enough to understand that, which meeting you can skip. If I'm not adding value, or if I'm not learning anything, we can skip that meeting. So that we have to be smart enough to do that. Otherwise, it will be only the meeting whole day, and then we have to work overtime to do our actual work. So, and then another challenge I see is multitasking. So we are at home, we have kids, we have life outside of work, right? So if kids are coming, and saying, oh, mommy, I need help. I cannot just say, oh, I cannot do because, I'm doing X, Y, and Z. So we are doing multitasking. So we have to communicate with our leader that, we are working from home. It have to be flexible. They have to be flexible enough to understand that. And that's what I do with even my leadership team, that, my kids are home. Sometimes they will come. If you see them, just forgive or, be okay with it. And then time management is another thing, right? So when you see that a task is needed our attention, as a human, we always tend to continue to work until we finish. So since we are at home, we don't have to commute. We try to continuously work until we solve. So that actually become a more challenging issue, right? As a human, we need to take a break. So I think it will be better if we put ourselves in a schedule, even though we are not going anywhere for the lunch. Maybe set your calendar from 12 to 1 and make sure you take a break, actual break, to carve out some time for yourself so that you are not in front of the screen. You go outside or take a walk or something like that, so that you can refresh your mind and jump into the new challenge. So I think these are the few challenges I always see day to day. And not only the challenges, we have the positive side as well. So while we are beginning of this year, basically we were thinking, will it work for remote team or not? But look like it's not that bad at all, right? Remote teams are not less productive. We are seeing more productivity in our team. We save a lot of time and energy for our daily commute. We work during non-traditional hour. But yes, we have to have the buy-in from our team. What is the ground rule for us, that we have some common time together, but then people can choose which non-traditional hour is work for them, when they will be more effective. And since we are in remote, we can actually attract top talent from anywhere. People can work from anywhere, so that become much easier now. What we can do better? So this is actually ongoing, right? We have to make sure, we have to prioritize our schedule. We set expectation. We set our ground rule. We use technology as our favor. Since we cannot see each other in person, we can turn on our video, show our face. That we can do. Create social event, right? Not only the one-on-one, we have maybe a team gathering, so we can play some game, or we can interact with each other, so that it's not all boring work all the time. It's some fun time as well together. It can be a escape room. Virtual escape room is available now. We can play Kahoot or something like that. So every team has different interests. We can play karaoke or something like that, but create some social event, create some fun element to your team. And no meeting without an agenda. This is another very, very important learning. If meeting doesn't have agenda, you can always say you can skip that. But again, not every team is same. Not every team will follow all the rules. So you have to bring your own rule to make you more efficient. And encourage and support is each other is another thing we can do. What is future of work? So that's the most important question, I think, in everybody's mind, that we have been working remotely last 1 year, and when it open up, what will happen? Will we work remotely? Will we all go back to work at the same time, or we will have a hybrid model? Everybody's mind is in that topic. So I just recently fall into this Fortune Analytics. I was just reading about that, and they just mentioned that 36% of people, they prefer to be in office. And the number is so little, right? Out of 100%, only 36% people says they really want to go back. 42% says they prefer hybrid. And we don't know what future holds, but I think for myself also, I would love to have hybrid model. Why not? If it works and if it is not too much for a team, then we can work hybrid. We can take some time from home. We can sometime go back to office. And 27% of remote worker think they are less productive. But look at the other number, 47% think that they are equally productive. So these are some interesting data. It just came in. So I was just looking and thinking what holds in the future. And then 67% will resume business travel after pandemic. So still, we have to see what future holds. But these are just, some interesting data I just wanted to share. What is the takeaway from this session, right? I think more. I wanted to share what I see day to day. I wanted to share. Yeah, it's not. It's kind of a hybrid model now going on: agile, remote, and leadership. How they are doing, how they are overcoming the challenges and going over this situation. So. If you take one thing from this session, you can take this, that you have to come up with some ground rule, and you have to work with your team to identify some KPIs, some metrics, and then figure out long and short-term goals, right? And invest in your team member. Don't just assume that everybody is doing okay. So you have to invest some time for each individual team member to understand what is their motivation, how they are doing, what their personal situation is, if somebody is going through any struggle or not. We are human, we have to be empathetic, and we have to make sure that we invest ourselves some time and understand if that person is what is their motivation of this particular role. Do they want to grow into the next level? If that is, what are the plan we are doing for that particular person? Do they want to grow into the next level, or they want to grow in horizontally? Do they want to take some courses online, or is there something we can do in order to grow them to the next level? And it's not always about going to the next grade level. It's always about what that person's interest is, how we are investing that person's skill so that he or she can be more effective in that particular role or any other role they are interested in. Because if some people are doing manual testing, and they sometimes have the interest of going into automation, so that is another horizontal interest, right? That can happen. And so you have to understand basically each team member aspiration, invest in them, and work with them to go to the next level. And then celebrate the team achievement. We always have one project after another project. We just move on from one fire to another fire. And we sometimes forget to celebrate our achievement. You have to make a point and pause for some time and celebrate the moment. I think that brings a lot of positive vibe in the team. So I think that's very important. As a personal point also, I always celebrate small achievements. So as a team, that is very important to celebrate the team achievement and where we add value, who did a great work to acknowledge in front of the other people that my team did this and that. We need to celebrate that and focus on the outcome, right? Look at the holistic view and where we fit and what we deliver. Based on that, we have to focus on the end line instead of always looking at the process also. So we have to look into both sides. I think that's all I had. Is there any question?
And if you would like to either, oh, hey, we have one. I think that's more of a comment than a question, but we have it's wonderful that we can apply this to many areas of our life, not just in tech with QA. And opening up Q&A. So for anyone that does have a question, you can either put it in chat or you can put it in the Q&A section, and we will relay that for you. And I am not seeing many. Oh, okay. What are some ways you celebrate the achievements virtually?
So you can do so many creative ways. So what I do in my team is basically set a virtual team lunch. Okay, so you can do DoorDash credit. So people can use DoorDash credit and buy lunch and eat together. And we are just chatting while our camera is on. It's not actually work, but we are just doing virtual lunch instead of the personal. Yeah. Or we can play some game to celebrate, and then we can do virtual happy hour. That's what we did. And as I was mentioning, we can do virtual escape room also to celebrate and have some fun, and virtual competition.
Okay, anybody else out there, either within the Q&A or in the chat area, feel free to post your questions.
Yeah, if you are interested, if you want to connect with me, I'm in LinkedIn, so you can find me with my name, Dilruba Malik. And also I'm in Twitter, Instagram, wherever you are comfortable. Any question regarding QA related work or any individual question, if you have, reach out to me. I always welcome my connection. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Another question for you is, what are some of the things that we can do to help team members who are struggling?
Yeah, so this is very, very good question. So there are always people that who doesn't do too well with new change. So if the person is not doing well, what I do is I set up a one-on-one session, series of one-on-one session, and go and try to understand the problem. Sometimes people are so introvert, they don't want to open up. So you have to give enough space, enough encouragement so that they open up to you. Unless you know the root cause of that performance degradation, you cannot help. So you have to identify what is happening in their life, why the performance suffer, and figure out an action plan. Check with that person if you can help in any way, even if you have to work a little bit extra to bring him or her in the right direction, then you have to do that. Carve out the action plan and tell that, okay, after 1 month, I will see if you reach there or not. Then we can set the next action item or next milestone. So it have to be a lot of extra work from the leadership side, and also a lot of extra work to make sure that person is trusting you for their sharing their problems with you. Yeah.
Another one for you, and it asks, how do you explain to the overachievers who are exhausted that team development is important?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this is another extreme problem, right? Sometimes we are in such a high capable team, high top achiever are there. So they always work too hard, try to burn out. So what my advice is, it's not about competition, right? We all try to do and achieve the same goal. So we go with a team, or we fail as a team, we win as a team, or lose as a team, right? So we if one person is overachieving, then I suggest that that person also help the person who need little help, right? So they can coach also. It's not only just to bring the team morale up, it's also that person is gaining experience by helping others. So indirectly, he is building his, or he or she is building their soft skill to how to train our own knowledge to other. So it is very difficult to transfer knowledge from one person to another person. But if we work together and if we train somebody, that's the way we can transfer our knowledge. We learn to share our knowledge that way. So that is very helpful. I saw that cross-functional training, and who is achieving, that person can help with some other team member who is struggling. That create a little bit balance in the team. So that way the team member, each other also trust each other. Yeah.
We've got another one for you, and it asks, what is a major difference you did not expect during COVID being totally remote versus a hybrid model pre-COVID, and how did you handle it?
So far in my 15 years of experience, never had hybrid model. So it's always, QA's expectation is always to be there. And in Agile, that's why this topic was very close to my heart, that we always expect it to be in person. QA without being in person, like once in a blue moon, you take one day from working from home, is fine. But it's never expected that we'll be in hybrid model and we'll work partially remotely. That was never thought of. But COVID timeframe basically had this new normal, to us, that it is possible. QA can work remotely, and that mindset shift, I see the main difference. It's not about pre-COVID we could not, maybe we could, and we proved it in COVID that we could work from home and keep up the same efficiency level, but we never thought of. So the mind shifts change is the major shift I see.
Okay. Those are all the questions I see out there right now. If somebody does have a question after the fact and you want to funnel them to us, we would be happy to answer those. But I think that just about wraps it up for now. Thank you. Joe, can I hand it back over to you for closing out?
Sure, yeah. I had a couple things that really stood out, and I just wanted to compliment you on your talk. It was very good. Some of the notes that I made were that rang a bell are schedule coordination and how you're going to do that. Because when I was working in a development company, we had people that some guys wanted to show up at 3 p.m, and other guys wanted to show up at 5 a.m. So we had to lay down some core hours at least, so people could coordinate and talk. I really liked your point that you made about the emotional state of your team, because I think it's important to keep in touch with people on a level that's more than just what you're working on that day. It gets back to what you said about team synergy. And at Corda, we have a morning quick 10 or 15 minute check-in at 10 o'clock every morning. And part of that is, coordinating what our goals are for the day, but it's also we catch up with each other. Even though we're working remotely, we can't walk down the hall and say hi to your friends. But, we spend 3, 4, 5 minutes, just checking in on how everybody's doing. And I think that's really critical to keep track of each other and reach out. I love what you had to say about celebrating achievements. And I love your feedback on the question that we got, both personal achievement and team achievements. But a virtual lunch or a virtual happy hour sounds like a great idea to me. And everybody can just kind of take a break and socialize. I think that's just a beautiful idea. So thank you for your talk. I really appreciated it, Dilruba. It was wonderful. And you had so much to offer. And I have 2 announcements to make. again, I'll bring up the offer to join the PM SIG, Project Manager SIG. The next one's in April, next month, and it's on the same thing, second Wednesday. And our speaker is Malini Baldi. I'm sorry, man. I'm reading a handwritten note in the dark.
There was a lot of struggle.
Mahan's Malini Baldi is great, but it's the principles and practices for successful product design and development. So it's a project manager SIG, and he's going to have some good insights on that. And I'll get to know him over the course of the next few weeks and get his name exactly right. And so for the QASIG in May, we already got really an interesting lineup set up. So it's going to be, Harry Robinson and Doug Zabo. And the title of the talk is Test Generation Techniques. We could all use our work on that, but also exploratory automation. I can't wait to hear what they have to say about that, because it's almost self-contradictory, because automation's programmed, and the exploratory side of it is more what we all do. It's more interactive, and so I can't wait to hear what they say about that. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining, and I hope these are valuable, and tell your friends if you know anybody you think might be interested. And
Much, Shelly and Joe, Jim, everyone. Thank you.
thank you again, to it was a wonderful talk.
Yeah,
So many
thank you very much.
insights.
We appreciate your time. Thank you.
And thanks everyone for participating.
All right. Have a good night.
Good night.